Hi everyone, welcome back. Today, I'm gonna hide behind my tomato plant. Today I'm going to plant my tomatoes. I should say tonight. My husband keeps joking we're gonna change this to the Twilight Gardener channel because I do most of my gardening in the evening once the kids have gone to bed. But today I'm gonna plant tomatoes, and to do that I need some eggs. I usually add an egg to every tomato plant that I put in the ground. The reason I do that is, one, I learned about it from Roots and Refuge. Jess explained that she did this, so I kind of did a little bit of research and found that it is believed that by adding eggshell, you're adding calcium to the soil, which the plant can then uptake, and it really helps with the growth of tomatoes, and then it helps prevent blossom end rot. If you dry eggshells, you can just add those to the soil. If you don't do that ahead of time, it's just as easy to take the egg and add it to the hole, and then it'll break down over time. Something that I do that Jess recommended, so I'm gonna pass along the recommendation. I always crack the egg. I don't necessarily like crack it all the way open, but I at least tap it on my trellis so that it'll have a crack in it so that it will break down. I don't want to dig into the ground at any point in time, whether it be in the fall when I'm pulling out the tomato plants, and find an egg that's rotted there all summer but hasn't broken down. That would be nasty. So I always recommend cracking the egg because Jess said crack the egg, and if Jess said it, I'm gonna do it. My tomatoes that I have started, I started 3 different varieties of large tomatoes and 4 different varieties of cherry tomatoes. I started straight German, which are like a yellowish tomato. I started Mountain Fresh, which these ones are little itty bitty, a little bit sunburnt. I've come to find they're kind of a delicate tomato. I'm going to put all of these in the ground. I grew a bunch of extras so that I can share with friends. But I'm going to put all these ones in the ground. They're a determinate variety, so that if you prune on them, you are going to be giving up fruit. So they usually stay smaller. As you can tell, they're a lot smaller of a plant. And that's probably the best one. I mean, this is probably the wimpiest looking one. And then the other one that I started were Nepal, and they're a large red tomato. So I started them in like seed trays, moved them up, plant them all the way down to here. So the little seed tray, they were only about this deep, put them in here. This whole thing is roots now. I'm sure of it. It'll be good to plant it, and what I'll do, a lot of times you'll plant tomatoes kind of at an angle. So like if it's kind of growing up this way, I'll plant it at this angle. This whole stem will turn into roots. So I usually will dig a deep hole, crack and put the egg in there, and then plant as much of this as possible. I'll pull off any of these arms that I need to, and make sure that they are pruned up. Let's see, this one's a good example. So in the armpit of where the branch of the tomato and the tomato plant is, they'll grow these little suckers, and those suckers aren't going to turn into anything. They're just going to cause issues. So if I pull all those off, that's what I keep a close eye on. Now the only time that doesn't work is a determinate variety tomato like those Mountain Fresh. So I can't really do anything with that. I can pull some of the stuff that's on the ground so that I can keep the leaves off the ground to keep them from getting blight and issues like that, but I'm not going to prune those up. These other varieties, the indeterminate varieties, they grow to an indeterminate size. I mean, they have a size, but the determinate are determined as to where they're going to stop and how much fruit they're going to make prior to growing. Where the indeterminate, they'll just keep on going if they can. So I do prune these up. I keep any of the leaves out of the soil once we get tall enough, and then I go through and clean out the armpits, clean all those little suckers out of there, and then tie them up the trellis as they go, just to keep everything clean. So the biggest thing that you don't want to do, this stem here, this is your main leader. You don't want to break that, because if you break that, it's done. If you're lucky, one of those branches off the armpit of the plant will take off and be your new leader. That's kind of what they would do, and they would kind of slow down and make the plant a lot bushier. You're not going to get more plants from it or more fruit from it. You might, but in the long run they're all going to be smaller. So you're better off to pull those off, get slightly less number, but more variety and a better health plant. So that's what I'm going to do. And then just be very careful. So I know this is an arm, and this is my main leader. So I know I don't want to break that. So I'll work on putting all of those in the ground. And we'll see how many I put in. I think I'm going to put, I have 6 Mountain Fresh to put in, and 3 of the other varieties. And then my cherry tomato plants, much taller. They're very leggy things. Same thing, you can prune out these suckers, but you are giving up fruit with them. I don't do as much of pruning out the suckers on cherry tomatoes, especially once I get them up off the ground. I might keep them cleaned out a little bit because I'd rather keep it cleaner and have a healthy plant and get a little bit less fruit. I mean, I'm one person eating tomatoes because my husband doesn't eat them, and my kids are a little too young at this point. Maybe by the time the tomatoes come in this season, they'll be into them, but right now, that's not the case. So, look at the arm on this thing. Crazy. But I will also put these in the ground. Same thing. Put as much, I'll pull like this off and put as much of this stem in the ground as possible, because that gives me a good root system, and that helps not having to water them so much. A lot more access for them to take up nutrients as well. So let's get started before the sun totally goes down. Okay, so here is my tomato row, and oh, that egg's already cracked. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to dig a hole, go down nice and deep. See all this eggshell? I did the whole eggshell in the soil the first year, I think. And then that's when I had heard Jess talk about doing an egg in the hole. So that's what I've done every other year. See if I can get this. Okay, that didn't work. Pause. I have a runny mess. Egg broke. That's my solution to that. Okay, so add the egg to the hole. I'm gonna mix some dirt in there because that's gnarly. I'm gonna pull out this. So I'm gonna start with my Mountain Fresh. So, oh, but not that one because I broke it. All the fails, all the fails. All right, let's get the fails out of the way. Add the dirt here. Okay, pick a different one. Again with the Mountain Fresh. This one looks much better anyways. You can see there's some root growth in there. Put that down like that. And then very carefully filling around there. Alright, so that's the first one after we killed one, but that's okay. There's more. Normally I don't know. I don't space my tomatoes out nearly as much as you're quote-unquote supposed to, because I do prune them up so much. I'm going to put some space in between these ones because, again, I'm not going to prune on these Mountain Fresh ones because they are a determinate variety. So it's probably about a foot. So I'll take this. And all I'm looking to do is crack it like that. I just want a little bit of crack in it so that I know it'll break down. Toss it in there. And then very gently wiggle it out. Oh, that one looks even better. Lots of roots. So then what I'll do for that one is I will turn you guys so you can see. The dog's found something exciting. So I'll kind of tilt that one at an angle. And build the soil up around it. Because like I said, that whole stem will turn into roots. So a tomato plant really, in its most happy of states, would crawl across the ground like a pumpkin, like a squash. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. I don't even know how many more times until I'm done. So now I'll speed you up as I go along this row. Next morning because my phone died last night and I couldn't finish the video. But I finished putting everything in the ground. I have 5 Mountain Fresh tomatoes, 3 Nepals, 3 striped German. Then I have an indigo cherry tomato at the end and a white cherry tomato. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 super sweet 100s, which are a red cherry tomato. The one plant, I'm not sure if it's gonna make it, we'll see. That one, the stem was partially broken on it from the dogs, but I put the whole thing in the ground. It looks kind of sad this morning, but we'll see. It might root in. And then the last one is an orange cherry tomato that I can't remember the variety of right now. But they're all in the ground now. I've got to clean up some of the branches that I pulled off and put the straw down to mulch up the rows. But then everything's done for the tomatoes. So thanks for coming along and learning about the egg tomato combo. I hope you're able to use that in your garden, try it out, see if it works for you. Have a good one.